Welcome back to Duro 3 YouTube channel. In this video we're having a look at my upgraded product that I have had made. This is part number is KD-38T. This is a 7mm shaft version, so then it's a -7. So basically this replaces either a 3-stack or a 4-stack of gears on a Kenpro KG-400 or 600, a Daiwa DR-7500, 7600, which are all based on the same rotator. So basically most early KG-400s only had a 3-stack gear, and they used to chew the ring gear out. I could show you pictures of the ring gear. I probably should have put one down. They just get chewed out because there wasn't enough surface area on the ring gear, and so it would just chew out. So later on they went up to a 4-stack gear. So what I've done in the early version was exactly the same thickness as this. Well, now this is, in all intents and purposes, I'll go the other way, I'll put this finger to the bottom, it's actually thicker. This works out around about 8mm, this works out about 9mm wide, hence why I have a recess in the top, because the gear that's driven on the top of that sits in that recess to give me the same height as I had before, so I can use more of the ring gear without actually changing the height of all the gears and everything. So that just sits in there. As you can see, it bit of movement there, not that we need it, which means you can have a bit of grease in there sitting there as well. So, and we can actually physically put shims in to space it up where we need to, but as you'll see when I put this all together here, it's pretty close to where it was before. So also I have made up, the early ones used to have a, I think it was an 8mm, I think it was, 8mm bush that goes under the 3-stack. Well, when you go to a 4-stack, you had to put a smaller one on, so I've actually made one up. This is 5.9mm if I remember correctly. So basically, I'm just going to show you it's all going together. Normally I affix these shafts into here so they don't move and flop around, but in this case we'll just do it as is. That's good English, whatever. So we put our 5.9mm spacer on. Drop our gear first, our KD-38T gear on. We put the original shaft, that would be a good idea. We put the original spacer back on the next gear, so we put that in. And as you can see, I'll turn it up here, hope it doesn't fall out. So the spacing is the same as it was before. So I'll grab the next gear, we'll drop him on, and he will drop down, lifting on the top so I don't lose this. If the shafts were fixed in, I wouldn't have to hold the shafts. So as you can see, it sits in there at the same spacing it was before. We then drop our next one in, and if you looked at the wear marks, if you probably can't see them, there's a shiny part on there. These shafts aren't sitting straight because I'm trying to hold them because they move around like this. So it sits at the position it was sitting before. That goes under there. Same spacing. You'll actually see the wear marks on the actual, well, there's a slight mark on the actual gears. So then we put our 2 spacers on, the original spacers that come with the whole shebang. And I'll put this down because I don't want to fall apart. We grab the gear, spin it around, snap in place. I won't put bolts in it for now. So what we end up with is, and if you look into the back here, I probably can't see that well. I mean, I should have put the other lights on. That's what I should have done. Maybe a bit more light might help. Maybe, maybe not. You can see the spacing to the first gear up the top there. Maybe this one, maybe. It's smack bang where it was before. So there you go. So this is actually a KG-400 chassis. So the KG-600 is very similar, except they have limit switches in here. So basically, and this is the early version, because the later versions, and I don't think I've got one. I may or may, I don't think I have actually. I'll have to check. No. don't have one. The other ones, the later models, this is all pressed into this section here, so you haven't got to put a spacer in for the later versions. Okay, put this way around. It's pressed in through here. I'm looking at what I'm not looking at what I'm looking at on the camera, whatever. So the plate was actually pressed, and so you never had the put a spacer in here, and it was pressed for this one as well. So the bottom two ones, so saving on spacers, and it was fixed. So this gear will just sit in that one on that. That's for a 4-stack. So when they went from this one to the other one, it became a 4-stack, and then you had we saved a bit of money and also, I dare say, and there was a plate on the bottom. The shafts were slightly different, lengths and whatnot. So yeah, so the later versions were a bit better. So basically, that's this one here, and I also do another version which I didn't bring over. Silly me. I've also made an 8mm version. That's an 8mm shaft version, where I actually physically replace the shafts. So this hole is an 8mm hole, and the first one to use this new gear is this one right here. This is going to be a upgraded KR-600, and it uses the fibre gear from the 600. As you can see, the shafts have been fixed into position, they've been pinned and shaft have been put in position. So it runs the fibre gear, but it runs all the gear ratios of a KR-400, which this is going to be a KR-800 680, I should say, which is going to run a DC motor. So all intents and purposes, it's the same setup, but has 8mm shafts, and I've got the little bush that I'm going to use here. This is a Yaesu one I'm going to cut down. I actually just cut it on the line there, and I have one for each. One there, those does both. So basically, it's going to be one of my next projects. So 8mm shafts as opposed to 7mm shafts. As you can see, they are a lot bigger shafts. Well, you probably can't see the shafts. I'll pull this out of here. Putting these side by side, if we can, of course. You can see the different size in the shafts. Whole millimetre bigger. So I manufactured these. I've cut these in house. So basically, this is an upgrade I do, and all the upgrades I'll do will probably have the 8mm shafts. Just means they don't bend as easy, and I'll be definitely using these in the KR-600 upgrades. Bit of work to make all the shafts up, but you know, it's all worth it in the long run, because I've got not only get that, I've actually got to get the actual gears. I've got to get the gears bored out to 8mm, so as well. So it's a bit of a process, but yeah, as you can see, the shafts don't move around at all because they're fixed in position, and that spins around really nicely. I can even turn it from here. Runs really well on that 8mm shafts. So that's what's happening with this. I'll put this back together again. I'll line up the gear, snap it back into place. This will have the limit switches. There's the holes for the limit switches, and so yeah, it's this is the next project to be going into production. So there you go. So I'm running a DC motor in this one. So just because I'm running out of AC motors, and I said, well, I didn't have any 600 motors, so I make do with what I've got and upgrades. That's what I do. So basically, this one is will be a one coming up soon, another KR-400, which will have this new gear in here as well. So all intents and purposes, we take out the loose stacked gears and we put a solid gear in, which is actually wider and better. So more surface area, because as you can see, if you can't, there's a gap. The finger behind there is a gap between all the way the gears are punched out, feathered on one side and flat on the other. So when you have two gears together, there's a slight gap, and of course that gap can get a bit of aluminium between it, and then they can splay apart and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, it was alright for the purpose, but I'm upgrading everything. So, righty-ady, I think I've bored you enough with my upgrades. So yeah, this is the 8mm version, and the 7mm version is in this here. And we shall move forward, and I'm going to get these up on my website. So these are up for sale. So yeah, all good. So there we go. Brand new KD38T-7-8 for 8mm and 7mm. No probs. Catch ya. Bye.